Hey everyone, Kimberly Solfridge here with the Kids Money Project, and welcome to Mommies and Money. Hope you're having a great day today. I am here with Paula Weiss. Paula, hey, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. I'm so glad it's Wednesday and it's warm outside. So
Much warmer than
thankful.
last week.
Yeah. Sorry we missed everybody, but neither one of us had electric or power. But I think we're thawed out. I'm thawed out. There's no snow. So it feels
Yeah,
better.
well, we have a slightly drastic change in temperatures from last week. I mean,
Yeah.
we hit what, 81 degrees yesterday,
hmm
and we were actually at one point below zero in all this cold snap that we're not used to.
minus 19
Yeah.
on that first Monday. Yeah.
I mean, I we actually had pipes freeze and everything. I'm pretty sure you did too, right?
No frozen, but not busted.
Yeah,
So
no, ours didn't rupture.
okay, so we were
We're
cool.
we're still looking out for leaks just to make sure we don't have something going on, but
Leak
we
detector.
did have one house that had a rupture. One of our rentals did
Mhm.
have a rupture, so we hopefully it's not going to be too bad. We don't have the horrible pictures that you see of waterfalls and houses going on
Thank
down there.
gosh.
So
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. So,
yes,
and we are going to have bad weather, but it's only going to be rain. We're not going to
yes.
have a problem because if they came with the cold temperatures again, we'd be in trouble. But we'll just be
Oh,
a little damp for the next week. But that's okay.
right. Yeah, I don't know that there's a reason I live in Texas. It's not to have that kind of weather.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. And yeah, and talking about the weather, that's part of what we're going to chat about today. That kind of instigated our conversation.
Yeah, in fact, we kind of changed up what we had planned to talk about
Yes.
just because well, for those of you that maybe aren't in Texas or something like that or may not know what's going on down here, obviously we had this massive winter freeze that we are not equipped to handle down
Right.
here.
Mhm.
And all these houses lost power and not what you'd call a rolling blackout like they told us it would be, but we're
Mm,
talking,
yeah.
24, 48, 72
30,
hours at a
yeah.
time.
Mhm. Yeah.
And in fact, we're still not really up. I mean, where we live here, we're still under a heavy water restriction because
Really?
I'm guessing some of the plants are still not up.
Oh, I didn't see that, so I
Oh yeah,
better
we're
go
still
I
under it
better
unless it
check.
if they raised it, this morning and I didn't see it. We're still under
Oh,
a fairly heavy water restriction. But
I need to go look when we're done.
yeah, and there's a lot of areas in Texas that are under boil water restrictions.
Mhm.
Fortunately, we're not under one of those. We just
Right.
can't use a whole lot.
Yeah. Now I need to
But
go check. Yeah.
yeah, so of course in the news with that, we started hearing all these just horrific stories of people getting their electric bills that were
Mhm.
$17,000, which, I don't know about you, that'd give me a small stroke if I
Oh,
opened that bill.
that would yeah, that would have been a deal breaker. But it
Yeah.
seems like it's only that one particular company. And
Yes.
what I was listening to this morning is I did hear the lieutenant governor talk about that and potentially, and I need to go back and find the interview he was doing. They may be actually doing away with that type of contract or that type of service because what we were going to talk about, most people don't understand what they were actually purchasing.
Right.
They didn't understand it was a wholesale number and it could go up and down with no warning.
Right. And of course, the thing about it is I went and looked up on their website just to see, was this a hidden situation, do they small print that you can't read
Mhm.
and all that. And it actually was not. It is very prevalent on their website as to what it means. And basically what it comes down to is a gamble. It's kind of like going to Vegas and gambling a little bit for the most part, during, however long they've had it, they've been paying lower than normal rates and everything like that,
Right.
lower than the average for Texas. We'll just use Texas as an
Mhm.
example. And so it's great as long as there's not an issue.
Mhm.
But when there is an issue, and it very clearly states it. Now they do play it down pretty hardcore. They tell you it's like a
Right.
0.005% chance of it happening. So
Right.
you think, oh, well, it'll never happen, right?
Well, the other part of it, they didn't make it clear as to how it works, that it could be minute by minute, every 30 minutes, every 20 seconds, however they were doing the money. That was where, when that one gentleman was talking about, oh, it was 3 or 4 or 5 times during the day that they
Mhm.
were taking money out. So they didn't understand how that worked. They didn't realize it was going to be an automatic withdrawal as soon as they bought it.
But it is in their contract. If you
But
read the contract, it
yeah,
is there.
how many, we talk about this all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Well,
read, but do
and
you
that's kinda
understand? Yeah, so
I'm
that's
sorry.
kind of, yeah, it's like I've read it. Yeah, and I've read
Right.
it again. Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things that, and that's kind of what we decided we wanted to talk about today was,
Mhm.
knowing your contracts, what they are, what they actually mean, what they say, all those little things, electrical companies now, at least most of us here in Texas have an option of who we have for electric. And so, you can pick and choose who you want. And the contracts, probably for the most part, on a lot of the resellers or however you actually classify them. Didn't we kind
Yeah,
of look up?
providers and resale, and
You're
so
right.
Encore is the provider and some other ones, so it's, but, the distributor,
Right.
and yeah,
So Reliant is like a company or TXU or somebody like that.
yeah,
They're the ones that are actually the providers of it.
mhm,
So that's who you're getting your bill from and things like that.
and Encore is the delivery system.
Right, that's who's actually delivering it. They're not the
Correct,
ones making it. They're the
correct,
ones delivering. It gets
right,
really chaotic. There's like
mhm,
1 and then 2, then 3, and
correct.
there's probably more there that we don't even know about.
I don't want to know.
Exactly.
Fair
But,
enough, yeah,
yeah, so, you need to understand your contract, which is gonna be from your provider, is
correct.
that's who you're actually gonna be contracted with on electricity anyway. And so, but you'll have, if you have natural gas that comes into your house, you have a provider for that. If you have, obviously water, it's probably gonna be your city, and
Correct.
that one I
Water
think
and
probably
sewage.
doesn't really vary so much because
Yeah,
you don't have
that's,
really a
yeah,
choice in who you're getting your water from and
yeah, that's the
most of the
government. That's not an open market, so that's usually
right,
how that's handled. And
right.
it's, being the trash also is picked up at the city versus other states or counties may have a separate trash
Mhm.
and, entity. We don't
Right.
have that here.
But then you have things like your satellite and your cable bills, and then almost
Yeah.
anything that's a subscription service these days. So,
Mhm,
if you had Sirius XM in your car, if you have Netflix or
mhm.
Hulu, or I mean, there's so many I can't even begin to
Right,
name them all. And chances are there are a bunch I've never even heard of before.
right. So what stat Kimberly actually and I had this conversation about a year ago when we were just talking about most of my bills get paid by my credit card. I have everything short of the mortgage, which you can't pay. So sometimes you don't pay attention. You have an idea of what your bill is supposed to be. You know what's all there, and you rate the check. And it wasn't until you sat down and looking over the stuff that you realized your cable bill had jumped tremendously, which was the same thing with me, thinking I had no idea how that went up by like $70, and how did I miss that kind of deal. So that's part of what we'd like you to review, to make sure you're not being taken advantage of, or there was an increase that you weren't aware of and that was not acceptable to you. And I
Right.
apologize that Kermit has decided to visit. So I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. It happens.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so I'm the same way. I have all my regular bills that go to
Mhm.
a credit card, mostly to make my life a little easier. And also, I have a credit card that does rewards. And so
Right.
now I also pay that bill off at the end of the month.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
pay it off in
Mhm.
full, nothing held over. I don't want to pay any more for electricity than I already am.
Yeah.
And that's a very important factor if you're going to do something like that. If you cannot do something like that, if you cannot pay that bill off at the end of the month,
Don't
do not do it.
don't.
It's
Right.
not worth it. But if you have a situation where you can set it up and maybe get those rewards, maybe it's airline points or hotel miles or
Or cash back.
cash back. I mean, there's any number of things you can do now.
Mhm.
But if you can be disciplined enough to make sure that that bill is paid off at the end of the month and you're not sitting there thinking, "Ooh, look at all this money I have in my account. I can go have fun."
No,
No, don't do that. It's just because you're not paying your bills the same way.
no, not at all. But I was thinking that this is actually for the gals that are not involved with their finances. This is a good place to start, to kind of go back and say, okay, I do have Netflix. What are we going? What are we paying? What's going on? What is, or do we have Amazon Prime? Have we done Walmart? Is Netflix, I thought this was, X amount of dollars, and here I'm looking at that. But that gives you an opportunity to get your toes wet and start looking at things that you can see impact your budget.
Mhm.
So you know what you're doing. And that wouldn't necessarily create um, a pushback. In fact, it's a matter of, oh wow, let's see if I can save some money. Use it as an upside that you're part of the solution, not looking to create a problem,
Mhm.
because you may see something that your spouse hasn't paid attention to, because
Right.
maybe he's just used to striking, writing the check and never looking to see, if it matches what you expected to pay.
Right. Well, I know like when I have all of mine go to the same credit card. So when I
Hmm.
get that credit card statement that month, I sit down and certain ones I know exactly how much they're supposed to be. And so I do a quick scan and make sure those are not, any higher. In fact, I my satellite bill just came back this past month. It was $10 higher.
Hmm.
And I knew, of course, that was one that does not change from month to month. So I knew exactly how much it should have been. When I saw it, I went, that's not the right price. So I went to go look, and it would appear that the package that we have went up. I think it was like $9 and something cents or whatever. So it basically came out to where it was about $10 difference from my
Right.
previous bill.
Hmm.
And it's we actually have a discount right now because I'm one of these that calls and bugs them and says, "Hey, I'm not paying this much, and I want a discount. And if you're not going to give it
Hmm.
to me, I'm going to go find somebody who will."
Right.
And so we have a discount on top of that right now, but I have that marked in my calendar, so
Right.
it will pop up about 30 days before that's going to come off, so I know. And
Hmm.
if it's, if I want to call, and usually you can't do it until it goes off, at least satellite, I've found that out. Other ones it's not like that, but like, well, Sirius XM, I'm not willing to pay that price.
Right.
They're monthly for that. I am willing to pay the discounted price for it. And so
Yes.
that's another one that I have marked in my calendar. I know exactly when it comes up. So I
Hmm.
make the call. I mean, I would love it if they would just go to a
Flat rate.
regular subscription
Yeah.
price like that,
Hmm.
but I think they make more money because people don't pick up the phone and call, and
Right.
so they're not going to change it, which I think
Yeah.
we've even had that conversation before
Yeah.
here.
Yes. I need to make that phone call right now, as a matter of fact, probably right after this.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so, this it basically just it comes down to knowing what your contracts are, when they end. If you're under a contract, whether it's a year or 2 years or whatever on your electricity or your gas or whatever it is, know when they come up. And like this particular situation, those that had wholesale contracts found themselves in a very bad situation and not enough time to actually do anything about it. I mean, it happened literally overnight, and it was too late. And, I don't know what will come of some of these bills.
Well, the government, they're going to try to do something, because I think a lot of people, not that they were scammed,
Mhm.
but they were taken advantage of. And
Right.
I think that's truly how, when you think it's too good to be true, it usually is too good.
Right.
And so you just need to take time to understand it. And if you don't understand it, Google it, pick up a phone and call somebody. Call us. We're not necessarily the queens of knowing everything, but we're more than happy to point you in the direction of saying, okay, yeah, that makes sense, or no, that shouldn't be. And go ahead and check it out. But as for the electric here, and it's true for gas, you can't just go ahead and switch carriers.
Right.
It doesn't work. It's not an overnight thing. You have to go ahead and put an application in, make sure they can service your line, whatever you need to do. And it's usually a 2 or 3 or 5 day turnaround in order to get a new provider.
Mhm.
So if you're not happy with it, you need to start looking at it prior to saying, oh, I need to cut this now.
Right.
It's not that quickly anymore.
Well, again, it kind of goes back to the planning, and it's all
Oh,
about
yeah.
knowing what you have, where it is, planning for what could happen,
Mhm.
and being prepared for it.
So we're going to just throw out some subscriptions so you can think about. We almost filled a full page. So between any of your TV, your Netflix, your Disney, your CBS Access, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and well, you don't have to pay for that unless you want to pay rentals. Any of those things, look at them, make sure your subscription hasn't changed. Make sure um, you're getting the programming that you had expected to get, and then gyms.
Yeah.
Um, what else were we talking about? We talked about insurance. Also, make sure check on your insurance. It's a subscription. Well, it's your insurance, but some people don't pay attention. It's reoccurring,
Right.
and all of a sudden, your payment goes up.
It's just a matter of going over those bills on a regular basis, and you need to kind of figure out what that regular basis is for you. Like I said, I use my calendar to actually help with some of these. If we have a contract for our electricity, and let's say it's 24 months, so
Mhm.
I will go out in my calendar out to that 24 month, and I will put it in that
Right.
electricity contract expires or something like that. Just something that I know what it's talking about.
Mhm.
So, a little bit ahead of that, it warns me that, hey, this is coming up. It's time to take a look.
Right.
And then of course on a regular basis, certainly at least once a year, if not more, I kind of look at everything. I'll go through all of those different things that we have. And of course nowadays with subscriptions the way they are, my gosh, you may have 20 or 30 on your bill.
Mhm.
If you're somebody that maybe doesn't have cable or satellite or something like that, but
Right.
you,
And everything's streaming.
prescribe to all of these or subscribe to all of these, CBS and NBC and ABC and all of their different
Mhm.
subscription channels. My gosh, you may have those coming out the years, and
Yeah. And those
you know,
5 and 10 and $20 add up.
right. Well, they start at one price, and a lot of them
Mhm.
will have an intro price
Right.
where it's 4.99 a month or 7.99 a month,
Mhm.
and after so many months, it jumps up to 9.99
Right.
or
Mhm.
14.99 or something like that. And so you need to be aware of that, and just keep track of what you're actually spending on a monthly basis for these things, and find out if that fits with your lifestyle. I mean, are you willing to pay that? Like I said, like I'll use XM Sirius as an example. I think their regular subscription price is like 16 something a month. I'm not even positive because
Well,
I'm
it really depends on the channels you want. So that's probably your
okay.
base.
That's
But
true.
if you want news and different stuff, it kind of jumps up
Okay,
in
yeah.
reference to the
I
premium
know the one they
stations.
always hit me with is like 16 or
Mhm.
$17 or something like that a month. And
Right.
it's not worth it to me to pay that for radio in my car. One,
Right.
I'm not in my car that much.
Right.
And
Not right now.
so exactly. And so I'm not willing to pay that, but I am willing to pay the 4.99 a month, or,
Mhm.
whatever you can get it down to.
Right.
And so I'm willing to pay that. So I will pay that. But I am not willing to pay that upper price. So I would rather not have the service. It's not worth it at that
Mhm.
price point to me. It may be worth that to somebody that spends all their time in their car because that's their job. Maybe they're driving everywhere. That price may be worth it to them at that.
Right.
So I could see that. I don't spend that much time in my car, so it's not. So you have to evaluate your lifestyle and figure out what it is you want,
Right.
and then look at what you have and make sure it fits within what you want, and then make those adjustments as you need to.
Mhm. Sounds
But
like a plan, Sam.
that's all right. But yeah, so we just wanted, with everything that's going on right now around us, we wanted to just kind of have everybody, go take a look at that. Don't get hit like some of the people around here that didn't realize, what could happen overnight because they didn't understand what was in their contract per se.
Right.
So,
No, like most of the electric companies here are on a fixed rate. And
mhm.
what made them attractive is they looked like they could be major savings, but there is the risk on the downside.
Right, it was a gamble. They had great rates for however long,
Right.
but the problem was when something came up, now and it did, I will admit, it said what it could go up to, and that was an astronomical price. When I went and
Yeah.
read it, I was like, wow,
Right.
okay,
Mhm.
that's a lot of that's math I can't even do. So,
Even with that
I a
calculator.
little later in the article, it told me, so I was like, "Okay, good, I'm glad I know," because, like I said, I can't do that kind of
Yeah.
math.
Mhm.
And, but, it was there, it is in black and white, but, how many of us actually read those terms of service? How many times do we click on things that, "Yeah, I've read
Mm.
it." I mean, you could be giving away your firstborn child or something and not even realize it anymore
You say,
because,
"Phew, so glad." No.
well, anything you do
Yeah.
online, it's a little box you check. How often do you actually open it up?
Yeah.
You
You
know?
don't. You just check it. You really do. So,
Right. So, there's those that you definitely need to kind of go and check out and make sure just so you don't have a surprise like some of these Texans have in the last couple of days.
yeah.
So you
So
have some
we
homework again. We apparently we like
yes.
giving homework.
Yeah, love some feedback and say, wow, thanks for the reminder of I didn't know, I didn't check, I didn't see it. But again, I think it's a great opportunity for our gals to start looking and being involved in something that's simple, but can get you into looking at your finances. Because your credit card bills, that's where everything's coming, it tends to be a major part of your budget
Yes,
and how it's being spent. I think it's important.
absolutely. So we hope that gave y'all some information that
Yes.
have you go and check it out and go look at those bills a little closer and you know do you know when your contract's in, mark those things down so you know, and you can change things up as you need to. So
And just as you said that, if you had bought and did a 0% credit card, real important to make sure you've got the date you make that last payment,
true.
because if you are a day late, you're going to pay interest for the entire contract. So those
Yes.
are the things that people kind of, you think I'm going to remember, but if you, they're not going to call you and remind you. There is
No.
no notice to say this is your last payment or the next to last. So those are things that you need to think about and be part of that financing. And you can be
Absolutely.
the savior.
That's right.
So that would
But
be a good thing.
well, we hope we gave you something to think about and go check out, and we'll be back next week barring any major winter storms,
Oh,
which
yes.
fortunately it's not in the
I
weather
think we'll be good.
forecast.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
you guys have a safe week. Stay healthy, stay warm, and enjoy the sunshine.
Yes, everybody have a great day, and we will see you next week.
Bye bye now.
Bye.